This conference will now be recorded.
All right, guys. So I'll just get started with the introduction while a few more people join in. So yeah, welcome back to everyone who's been before, and welcome to everyone who's new. We're into week 6 of the webinar series now. We're looking at measurement tools and the markup list today. Just an introduction of myself. I'm Alex Butcher, Sales and Technical Consultant at Advanced Spatial Technologies. So we're a Bluebeam Platinum partner across the Australia and New Zealand region. So if you guys have any questions at all, feel free to ask them throughout today. You can always send me an email as well if you have any others. Just alex@advancedspatial.com.au. So yeah, let's go into it. So just a bit of a background on AST. We're a software and hardware professional services company. So we're a Bluebeam Platinum partner, Autodesk reseller, FM systems, Dropbox for business, Beam backup software, and then GoFMX as well. For hardware, we're a provider of Dell, HP, and Lenovo. So we provide sort of CAD-based systems as well. And then we also have the training and professional services division in the CAD West Bureau. As always, guys, if anyone has any issues that they're having with Bluebeam, any problems they'd like to be able to solve, feel free to send me through a file and just describe your problem, and I can go through it in the next week as well. I'm more than happy to solve problems you guys are having. So if you give me a little bit of notice, just send me a file and let me know what it is. We can run through it and hopefully find a solution for you. So inside Bluebeam, where can you find help? A few different ways. You can give me an email, alex@advancedspatial.com.au. I'm more than happy to help. Give us a call, 1300 672 888, or inside the actual software as well. The help menu, and then the help and watch review tutorials is the other way. I'll go through once we get into the software as always where to find those. But yeah, some really good resources in there if you ever do need help. So today we're looking at measurement tools and the markup list. So the lessons we're going to go through are calibrating a drawing, creating measurements as markups, subject and labeling them, using the show caption function to show more information about a measurement. And we're also going to go through customizing the markup list to look how you want it to, creating custom columns so that you can get sort of different information out of it, and then exporting the markup list to a PDF or to an Excel document. So it looks like we've got a few more people joined in, so let's get started. Let me just open up Bluebeam. Cool. So we've got a basic kind of drawing here, similar to the one we've worked in previously throughout these sessions. And so pretty much whenever we're doing measurements, obviously the very important thing is to make sure the drawing's calibrated. To do that, basically with Review 2019, it will auto prompt you to calibrate if you haven't got a scale set on a drawing before doing a measurement. But I always like to calibrate it first just because that's how I'm used to it. So go to the measurements panel on the right-hand side, or sorry, left-hand side, and we just hit calibrate. And it just tells me to select 2 points of a known dimension to calibrate measurement tools. So I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm just going to go into my little scale at the top here, and click my first point, click my last point, and then I know that this is 2,800 millimeters, so I'm going to set that to 2,800. In here as well, we can also set the precision, so that means how many decimal places our measurements will go to. I usually leave it at 0.01. Depends on what you're doing, whether you're working with massive sort of things, you know, sites and that kind of stuff, whether you're working with small things like houses and that sort of stuff. So depending on what you're doing depends on your precision usually. And you can also set it to a page range. So you can either set it to all the pages or the current page. So if you know that all of your pages in your document are a particular scale, you can set it that way. And then you can also go through a preset scale as well. So you can make it 1 to 10, 1 to 20, 1 to 100, or if you work in Imperial, there's all those options as well. But usually I set it as a custom scale. It just depends on what you're doing, what your drawing has already on it. You'll notice down the bottom here as well is the recalibrate button. So if you realize you picked up the wrong measurement or something like that, you can hit recalibrate and it will just make you do it again. Cool, and then we'll just hit OK and apply scale. So now the drawing is calibrated. The way we can tell, there's a few different spots. In the thumbnails panel, you'll see the scale sits just underneath the the label, page label. And then you can also see it in two different spots down the bottom here. So you can see it on the navigation bar. You can also see it on the status bar. You can also obviously check just by doing a simple length measurement that your scale is correct. So if I hit my length measurement and just draw a line across my scale, it tells me that's 2,800, so I know my scale is correct. So that's calibrating the drawings. The next thing we're going to do is create some measurements. So there's a whole heap of different measurement tools that we've got up the top here. These can be accessed through the toolbars as well, but I usually work with the measurements panel because I use the properties and that kind of stuff as well. So like we said, we've got the length measurement, we've got a polyleg, and then in the drop down next to it, we've got a perimeter measurement as well. The difference between the two is the polyleg will show the segments of the lines and the length values of those, whereas a perimeter will just show you the total length. Then we've got the area tool. Then the drop down from that, we've got the polygon cutout and ellipse cutout, which will show you how to use as we do some measurements. We've got a diameter tool, got an angle tool, and then in the drop down, we've got a few more. So we've got a radius tool, which goes into a 3-point radius if you need as well. And then we've got volume, we've got count, and we've got dynamic fill. So the first thing I'm just going to show you basically area measurements. The reason is because you can get a lot of information from them. The rest of the measurements are quite sort of straightforward to use depending on what you're doing, but we'll start with an area. So I'm going to click the area tool, and you'll see down the bottom here in the panel, it now pops up with area measurement properties. So in here is where I can change some information that will come through in my measurement. So it's really important to subject and label your measurements. You'll see why once we get to the markup list and that sort of stuff. And then also, as we go through some of the extreme features, it becomes really important in a later webinar as well. But for this example, I'm just going to call this carpet, and I'm going to call this type A. So depending on your industry, you're going to use different materials for things that you're using for measurements. For my example, I'm just going to use carpet and type A, but I'm also going to set a depth of the room so that I can calculate a volume and wall area as well just from one measurement. So we're going to set the depth to be 2400 millimeters, and then you can also set a slope. So let's say, for example, you're getting an area of a rooftop that has a slope in it. You can factor in that slope if you know it's 30 degrees or whatever it is. You can put that in there and it will calculate that into the measurement, so you don't have to work it out yourself. Down here as well, you can also change your area and volume units. So you can usually, it defaults to square millimeters for some reason. So I change it to square meters and then cubic meters as well. Down the bottom here, you'll see this viewports tab. Now this is a really common problem that happens when a lot of drawings that have come from AutoCAD, they come in with what's called untitled viewports. And they're quite random, and they don't usually actually have any basis to them, and it's really important to clear them before you start doing measurements, because it won't let you calibrate, and it won't let you, it just stops the measurements from working properly. It's probably one of the most common issues people come to me with. They say the measurements aren't working, it's not calibrating, and it's just because there's untitled viewports in there. You can create your own viewport. So let's say, for example, I know that I've got a separate section on my drawing with a different scale. I can create a viewport and set a different scale for that, so that it's picking up the correct scale for each section. But for now, that's all I'm going to do. So I've got my area tool selected. I'm just going to take the area of this meeting room. I'm just going to click the corner point, hold, drag across, and drop it on the other corner. Cool. So I've got my first area there. This title is sitting quite in an annoying spot. So if I hold the Shift key, click and hold, it will move that title for me without moving the rest of the measurement. Now I can see obviously this pillar in the corner here is taking over the area, and I don't want to include that in my area. So I could just adjust the points in here, or add some points so that I can do it, but I can also use the cutout tool. In the drop down next area, I'm going to go with polygon cutout, and then see it highlights over blue in the area, and then it picks out that point of the drawing. I'm going to click and hold that, and I just go outside of the drawing, so it cuts out all of it. And now we've just got that little section there. So next thing I want to do is customize this so that it looks a little bit different, so that my different measurements, my different types of carpet, for example, have different colors and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go into the properties panel. I'm going to select my measurement to bring it up. And I'm going to change the color to green. Put a fill color in it of green as well. Make a highlight so I can see what's underneath. Or you can not make a highlight, just depends on what you're doing. And then I'm just going to make the text a little bit smaller as well, because I'm going to add some things, so it'll make it a bit easier for me to see it. Cool. So now the text is a bit smaller. What I want to do is add some different measurements in here. So there's a couple of different options. You can show the segment values, which will show all of the edge values and the widths and lengths of those. I'm going to turn those off for now though, and I'm going to go to show caption and then edit. And in here, you can select a whole different range of measurements. So instead of having to do separate measurements for different things, whether it's the width, the length, the height, or whatever it is, you can do them all in here. So I'm going to turn on volume, I'm going to turn on wall area, and I'm going to turn on width. Just to note, this length measurement here is the total length around it. It should be called perimeter, but it's not. So it's the total length around the whole of the outside of the shape. To get the actual, so let's say the length measurement this way, that is the height, and then the width measurement that way is width. Cool, so you can see all of those different measurements have turned on now. So I can see all of this different information without having to do all the different measurement tools, which is really, really helpful for me. Obviously, I don't want to have to turn on that every single time. So let's say I'm doing measurements for particular things and I want them to pick those up every single time. What I can do is then save this to my toolset so that I can reuse that measurement later with different shape and size, but keeping those same properties. So I want the green for my type A carpets, and I want to put in my area volume, wall area, and width as well. So I'm going to right click and add to tool chest and go to webinar. And then I'm just going to double click it to make it in properties mode. So now I could go into, let's say, this training room and click my tool, and I could do another one where it will prop up all of those measurements for me. And there we go. So it's nice and simple. So that's basically just using the area tool to get more measurements than just one. Obviously, you can't get radius and that kind of stuff, so that's a separate sort of thing. But yeah, you'd have to use those tools for those sorts of things. So the next thing we want to do, we want to look at getting the measurement of this reception room. So we've got a curved surface here. Most people, what they do when they first start using Bluebeam, we went through this last week briefly, but they usually just get the area tool and then just click on points kind of close to each other so they get really close as they go along the curve. And it takes quite a while, and it's quite a cumbersome process, and it's not very accurate as well. You can see some of the lines I'm doing. Yeah, you can see some of the lines aren't quite very accurate, and that's just gone crazy anyway. So what I'm going to use to do this is the dynamic fill. So in the drop down next to the measurement tools, I'm going to drop down dynamic fill, and I'm going to add a boundary because I need to close the shape in. So add a boundary across the doorway, hit enter, and then I'm just going to click the fill painter and click and hold in the room and fill up my room. So now I've got this filled up. What I want to do is select the tool. Now there's a few different options with this. You can do spaces, you can just draw polygons, you can do area, you can do PolyLeg, you can do perimeter, and you can do volume. For now, I'm going to do area. What I'm going to do is I want this to be my type A. So if I click the drop down next to the area tool, it picks up those measurements that are actually inside my tool chest for me, and I can select those as the properties for it and hit apply, and it gives me my area measurement for this one. So that's really good to get the area of that room, but what if I just want to get the length of this curve? So what I can do is use the same tool. So I'm going to add my boundary, fill up the room, But instead of using the area tool, I'm going to use the PolyLeg measurement. And then I'm going to hit apply. And it goes quite crazy when you first do it because, like I say, the PolyLeg picks up the segment values and it's picking up all of the little segments along this line that it's picked up. So what I'm going to do is go to the properties and turn off show segment values. And now it goes to a nice sort of even number with not all of the segments. To get the length of just this curve though, all I've got to do is zoom in onto the points on the corners and right click them and split. And then the same on the opposite end of the curve, right click and split. And this value that pops up down here is actually the value of my curve, but to see it a bit easier, you can just delete off the other sides. And it's nice and easy, so you can see it picks up just that as the length of that curve. The title is obviously on an angle, which is kind of annoying. Some people like it to be very straight. It's a bit of an OCD thing. If you hold Shift and then click the rotate, you'll be able to rotate it to how you want to. Ooh, too far. And it goes a bit straighter. So it's using dynamic fill to get area and lengths of curves. So I'm just going to delete off that one there. Now I've got my second, I want to do a second area measurement so that I'm going to pick up a type B carpet now. So I'm going to go back to my area tool. And this time I'm going to create one called carpet. And type B. And I'm just going to set my depth again, rooms, 2400. Cool. And I'm going to do this over an office space. So I'm just going to click and hold over my office because my offices have different carpets, for example. Obviously, it doesn't pick up those properties again. So I'm just going to make this one blue. And I'm going to make the fill blue. And make a highlight as well. I'm not going to worry about turning on all the other measurements for now. This is more for an example. But I'm going to add this to my tool chest again. I'm going to do a webinar. And I'm going to put it in properties mode. I'm just going to draw another couple of these. So I've got a few more measurements. And then I'm going to draw this one. We're going to make this server room. Because this is a bit of a funny shape, I'm just clicking around the points rather than sort of just drawing a rectangle. So I can obviously factor in for that curved edge. So now I've got a few measurements on here. I want to get some information from this that I can export. So what we can do is go into the markup list. So if you hover your cursor down the bottom, you see that blue bar pop up. You can actually click and drag the markup list up. Or if you don't want to do that, you can just click these 3 lines and it pops it up for you as well. So in here, I can see a whole heap of different information about what I've got here. So I'm going to go drop down the markup list and go to columns. I just want to customize this so that there's not so many things up that I don't need. So I'm going to turn off status, color, layer, legend, rise drop, slope, space. I'm going to turn off all of these custom columns for now because we'll go through how to actually create them. I'm going to leave my label on. I'm going to leave account. I'm going to leave area, and I'm going to leave length. I'm going to leave all area on and leave volume on. And I'm going to turn off comments and turn off author, and I'm going to turn off date. Cool. So now we've got a markup list where we can actually see everything, which is represented by each thing. I'm just going to bring my labels across and bring them over to the start. So I know that they're all carpet, but I want to order them by label. So if I click the label button, it orders them by each label. So now I've got my measurements separated into type A and type B. You can see the heading number on top of the type A. That's the total of all of the lengths or areas of type A, and then the same with type B. So I can use that information to then create estimates, or depending on what you're doing, you could extract that into an Excel sheet. You could use, if you've got the extreme version, you can use the PolyLeg, which we're going to go through later week, or you can actually extract all of this out to Excel. But before I do that, what I'm going to do is create some custom columns that I can use to calculate a total cost for. So I'm going to go to columns and then manage columns. And I've already got some created here, but I'm just going to delete total cost in my material one. So I'm going to add, I'm going to delete the cost per square meter as well. So I'm going to add a custom column, and we're going to call this material. And we're going to have a choice. We're going to add, and the item is going to be type A, and the subject is going to be carpet. I'm going to assign a numeric value to this, and it's going to be 15. So it's going to be 15. It's going to cost $15 per square meter for this carpet. So I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm going to add another one, and this one's going to be type B, and I'm going to go carpet again, and then I'm going to assign a numeric value to this one, which is going to be $10 per square meter. Hit OK, and then I'm just going to hit OK from here, and then I want to add a total cost one. So we're going to call this one total cost, but this time we're going to make it a formula. And we're going to create the expression, so it's going to be area times by material. And you see it pops up all of these values here. These are actually different columns that are in that markup list, and it's using whatever the value is associated to that column for each measurement to create that total cost, basically. It's going to be format currency, and it's going to be 2 decimal places, and it's going to be in dollars. You can change it to other currencies if you're in different parts of the world. Obviously here we're going to use dollars, and we're going to hit OK. And then if you want to save those columns to your profile as well so that you can reuse them for other drawings, hit save to profile and they will save in there for you as well. But I'm going to hit OK for now. And then if I go to my markup lists and columns, I'm going to turn on my material and I'm going to turn on my total cost. So now, if I double click in this material column, it gives me a drop down where I can select the material. And I'm going to do it for all of these type A's. And then I'm going to do the same with the type B's. And you see it's picking up that value. And then in my total cost column, it's creating that total cost by timesing the area by that value. So that's one really easy way of creating estimates, just using Bluebeam. All you need is the standard edition to do this as well. It's nothing that's in the extreme version. It's quite a simple sort of thing to do. So from there, I want to be able to extract this to an Excel document so I can then use that to create my bids and my estimates. So if I hit this summary button, it looks like a clipboard, and drop down to CSV Summary, and then it gives me some options here where I can do some output. So I'm just going to leave it all as default. By default, it will pick up all of the columns that you've got turned on, and then I'm just going to hit OK. Just to note, I had some issues with this recently, but it's not going to do it today, which is great. Yeah, basically we've got all of our measurements that we've taken. It's got our label, our subject, we've got our total cost in here, we've got our material type and everything like that. So it's quite a helpful report that you can get from here. You could then use that to create your estimates. Depending on how you're doing, you copy and paste those fields across to another Excel sheet if you need to. So yeah, that is using the CSV summary. The other option as well you have is creating a PDF summary. So the same section, we drop down the summaries thing and we go down to PDF summary. And then we're going to append and hyperlink to current PDF. So it's going to create some pages on the end of this PDF with a summary of all of the markups that we've got on there. I'm going to hit OK. Basically, it just processes them all, and then it actually brings it up automatically for you. If I close down the markup list, you can see it a bit better. Go to the thumbnails panel. You see there's 2 pages at the end with all of these photos. And again, it picks up all the columns you've got turned on. And if you click the image for each markup, it actually takes you to where it is on the drawing as well. And then you could just go to your previous view to get back to the markup list as well. So that's creating a PDF summary. It kind of depends on what you're trying to get from it, what you want to sort of achieve. If you've got particular markups that you just want to show someone where they are and what they mean, PDF summary can be really good. if you're trying to get sort of different things, you can see at the top here as well, it gives you a summary of all the type A's as well. So it gives you a total cost, which is quite helpful for your estimates as well. Or same with type B, but yeah, it really depends on your preference of what you do with the summaries. So yeah, that is basically measurements and markup list, guys. Does anyone have any questions? Just give me 1 second. I'm just reading this question in the chat. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, but I'm guessing it's Senior. Yes, definitely, there is a way to upgrade your licenses. If you want to drop your email in there or send me an email, I'll put it back on the screen now. We can look at how we can go about upgrading. If it's not on maintenance, then you basically have to call. I'll note that down, and I will send you an email with regards to that. It's probably easier. Not a problem at all. Does anyone else have any questions at all? And just to note on that, the 2016 version of Bluebeam, obviously it's quite outdated now. You'll find that the newer versions are quite simple to use and a lot faster as well. So if anyone else is in that situation and wants to be able to have a look at it, you can always use the trials first as well. There's a free 30-day trial that you can use. So feel free to jump on that, and then you can always look at upgrading after. Any questions from anyone else at all today? One second, I'll just read this. Good question, Connor. So yes, definitely. There's a couple of options for that. One option is slip sheeting if you've got the extreme version. But if you don't have the extreme version, what you can do is copy and paste. So let me just go back to my drawing. So I'm just going to go to this page here, right? So I've got all these measurements done, and I want to copy those over to. I'm just going to open. It's going to be the same drawing, but it works the same. So let's just open up this one. So we're going to copy all of those measurements across to this drawing, right? So if I highlight all of them and copy them, the important thing to do here is to, if you hold Shift and then Control Shift V to paste, what it will do is paste it in the same location. If I just Control V, it'll paste it randomly. If I hold Control Shift V, paste them in the exact same locations for you. Another option to do it as well is you can go down to the markups list and export them. So you drop down markup list here and then markups, and then export. You call it whatever you want. I'm just going to save it into a file. And it gives a Bluebeam annotations file. Save, and then you go to your new drawing. Just going to delete off all those, and then we go to markups again and import, and then we pick up that annotations file and open. And that didn't work very well because it went to a different page. So I would recommend using that copy and paste method instead of the import. So any other questions, guys? Thanks, Connor. Hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, you too. Have a great weekend. Chat there. Not a problem, Constantinos. Welcome. So any other questions, guys? Feel free to ask them. I'll hang around for a couple more minutes while we wait and just see. Not a problem, Rito. You're welcome. some names. I'm sorry if I can't pronounce your names right, guys. If you guys do think of any questions after that you forget to ask or don't want to ask in here, feel free to send me an email. It's just alex@advancedspatial.com.au. I'm more than happy to do a screen share session with you and go through it if you need to as well. So yeah, I'm always available if you guys need help. All right, that looks like it, guys. So yeah, thank you very much for attending again this week to everyone who's been through. There's a few people that I see every week, which is good to see. And yeah, thanks again for everyone who was new that dropped in this week. It's awesome to see you guys. So look out for the invitation for next week. Next week, I think we're looking at the extreme features from memory. So yeah, keep an eye out for the invitation next week, and hopefully we'll see you all again. If for anyone who's been in as well, the link to join into the session is the same every week now. So if you've got the older ones and you don't see the invite come in, just join in through there as well. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Thanks, guys.